Howdy. I'm late. Sorry. As promised, I am reading the first little bit of In Bed with Mr. Wrong, which is my new Brazen that's coming out tomorrow, and you should be excited because I'm excited. And by excited, I mean eating my feelings because, you know, stress. Without further ado. Alright. God help us. Why did I let you convince me to do this? Brienne Nave grabbed the shirt she discarded 2 minutes ago and held it up to her body as she looked in the mirror. It was the same pink shirt as it had been the first time she considered it. Her best friend Avery laughed on the other end of the phone line. Because you're the best friend a girl can have. Which was the same argument she had with their other best friend, Drew, who was hot, had used to convince Bree to agree to the blind date in the first place. Drew's brother was back in town for a few weeks on leave, and they worried he'd spend the whole time holed up doing whatever it is they thought he'd do. They hadn't exactly been clear on that. She threw the shirt back on the bed and started to reach for the other shirt she considered, only to realize it was also pink. She'd been waffling between two nearly identical shirts for the last 15 minutes. I can't do this. Sure you can. Avery, I haven't been on a date in... God, she couldn't remember the last time. Maybe once in college? That's exactly why you need to do this. There was never a better time to get back on that horse. Or a better guy. Ryan's a total sweetie. She knew that. She knew all about him. Drew and Avery had said nothing but good things about Ryan since she met them a little over a year ago. He was a real-life hero to hear them tell of it. A god among men. Throw in a brother as attractive as Drew, and she wasn't worried about him being a dud. No, she was worried about him thinking she was a dud. Hating the insecurity trying to take root in her stomach, she walked to Mr. Smith's fish tank and dropped a few flakes of fish food he liked so much. I'll only be gone a few hours. Not nearly long enough for him to get lonely. But it's too late to worry about it now. He's already on his way. So take a deep breath, let go of whatever neurosis is circling that busy brain of yours. Pages are stuck. And have a good time. Easier said than done. He's leaving in 2 weeks. She dropped under a mattress and reached for her boots. They were cute, not sexy. But she'd rather sacrifice a little style than end the night in the ER because she'd slipped on ice. Besides, she didn't exactly own any shoes to be considered sexy. You have to start somewhere. It's not like he's flying to the moon. Long-distance relationships work all the time. You sound like you're already planning the wedding. Avery did that, though. She skipped adding 2 plus 2 and jumped straight to 4. Drew, the town sheriff and most eligible bachelor, wasn't much better. There can't be a wedding at all unless you actually go on the date. She knew exactly what to say to cut right through Bree's arguments, because Bree wanted that life. The husband, the kids, the white picket fence, the roots. On a foundational level. She'd just never been courageous enough to take that first step. Hadn't her childhood taught her better than to expect permanence? Nothing was ever concrete. Life took people away forever. Just forever in the case of her parents. She'd gone through 3 foster homes before she finally landed in one that stuck. And while she'd never been abused, there never seemed to be enough food to go around, never enough clothes to keep warm, and always bigger kids who wouldn't hesitate to hurt her if she didn't hand over whatever they wanted at the time. Back then, it was convenient to think that someday a Prince Charming would come along and they'd live happily ever after. But she'd learned a long time ago that fairy tales only existed in books. A rumble of an engine had her rushing through her small house to the front window to peer through the sheer curtains. An SUV stood at the end of her walkway and a man got out of the driver's seat that could only be described as perfect. And women thought Drew was handsome? Oh my god, Avery, you didn't tell me he was gorgeous. Don't be gross, Ryan's like a brother to me. She took in his square jaw and short dark hair and, oh lord, those shoulders. He looks like Clark Kent without the glasses. You set me up with Superman. Not hearing this. He's here early. Who shows up for a blind date early? Bree looked down at her boring maxi skirt and sensible boots. She should have dressed in something racier, something that would make a man like that stand up and take notice. As it was, she'd be lucky if she didn't ask her to have pizza delivered to avoid being seen with her at any of the restaurants in town. And on that note, we're going to stop. If you'd like to read more, you should check out the book tomorrow. The linkies are in the comments. And, yeah, come check out this sexy soldier who looks like Superman. And the really neurotic librarian who's absolutely adorable, and I kind of want to hug her. See you next week with shenanigans. Always shenanigans.